Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Don Hollywood Show. We have Chris and Sarah Ivey, also known as Red Dirt Dancing on social media. How you guys doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. So glad you guys joined me. It's been wonderful building a friendship with you guys the last couple of years. So I'm excited to share y'all's dance knowledge with everybody else.
Awesome. Well, yeah, it's been awesome getting to meet you. This was we met you at like what Shoreline.
It's
I'm like, man,
actually 2 years ago this weekend, actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, it's very, very close to that time.
I know. And y'all weren't married then yet, right?
No,
No.
we
Yeah,
were,
that's
we were
right.
still puppies. We were still dating, not even engaged at that
Okay.
point.
Yeah.
And y'all weren't even engaged at that point?
No, no, yes, we were.
I thought y'all got married not long after.
Yeah,
Probably.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, we were just engaged. I thought we met you before that. Oh, no.
Mm-mm. Do y'all remember y'all's wedding anniversary?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, we do.
What's
Tell
the
me
wedding
again.
anniversary?
It's really funny. In my planner, because I
Uh-huh.
have a planner, we have like the Google Calendar and everything. I apparently wrote in all of my dates,
Hmm.
like at the beginning of the year, to like get all the birthdays and the anniversaries and the holidays and stuff knocked out because I knew those were coming. And apparently in my planner, I actually accidentally wrote 1 year anniversary on our 2 year anniversary, and I like scratched it out and I put 2 year anniversary. So
Matt, that's coming up December 8th for us,
December
actually.
8th. Okay, yeah. So it's been right
yeah,
on 2 years. 1 year, 2 years. It's gonna be forever anyway. So what does it matter?
True. Very true. It still feels like we're dating.
yeah.
Exactly. Well, how did y'all meet originally?
It's a great story. I think Chris likes to talk about it, so I'll
I
let you
do.
talk
It's
about
fun.
it.
I'm all ears.
So it was during COVID time frame. I had been dancing for a while, and obviously being cooped up like that, really wanted to get out and dance. So the 2 weeks the bars were open in Texas, I decided to go out to Maverick's Buda just to go somewhere different.
And where were
And
you living at the time?
New Braunfels.
Well, I don't know where that's at.
So New Braunfels is so if there's Austin, San Antonio, New Braunfels is smack dab in the middle. It's a
Mhm.
Okay. That's a perfect
beautiful little
spot.
town.
You got
Yeah.
a lot of
Oh, yeah.
options there. Okay.
Yeah, I absolutely love living in New Braunfels. One of my favorite cities I've ever lived in. But anyway, so went up north to Mavericks Buda, and I was there at the dance hall, and I saw Sarah dancing, and I leaned over to my buddy John. I was like, John, who's that girl? He goes, Oh, that's Sarah. You've never met her before? I'm like, No, obviously not. I'd remember her. And so she finishes her dance, and then as she's walking off, I'm wearing cowboy boots, jeans. I've got a red shirt on with a rooster on it that says cocky. I got a big old belt buckle on, a cowboy hat.
Looking
And
real
John goes,
country.
"Oh man, I look so country." Red, white, and blue look the entire way. And then John walks up to Sarah. Sarah, I want to introduce you to my friend. This is the Chris Ivey. And I was like, John, you are
Yeah.
not helping me out. And Sarah goes, Well, hello, the Chris Ivey.
Just like that. Just like that.
I was like, You
That
want to dance?
impersonation of Sarah was so good.
I've had time to do this one. But yeah, after that, I asked her to dance, and I think that ever since then, we pretty much have been inseparable.
Really? So did
Yeah.
y'all just like hang out the rest of the night and
So it was,
Actually, I played it cool.
he did. He was very suave about the whole thing, which by the way, I didn't get started dancing until later in life. And so it was like the end of 2019, beginning of 2020 that I got really hooked with dancing. I got plugged into the scene in Austin. And again, like Chris said, COVID shut everything down. And it
Yeah.
was the 2 week window that the state of Texas, I don't know if it was the nation, I can't remember if it was the whole US or if it was just the state of Texas that decided to like
Open up
creep
to
out a little
open up?
bit how
Yeah.
things were before they closed everything back down again. And that was when I met him. And so we
Gotcha.
joke around and we say, we had 2 weeks to make it happen.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
No,
so
we didn't really hang out that night.
we didn't.
I actually just left her alone for a little
So you
bit.
never asked her for a number or anything?
But
Nope.
wait,
But here's what I
but
did.
Okay.
wait.
So what I did was is I truly believe in serendipity. So I was like, you know what? She was really cute. I really like dancing with her and whatnot.
What?
And I
You said you didn't like that first dance. You didn't think I was very good. He thought I wasn't very good
You didn't think she was very good, huh?
last, you
Did
know?
you just think she just wasn't a good dancer? Because like for me, when you dance with different women, I can always tell by their touch, like the way they touch. I could always tell whether or not would connect with them, or either enjoy a dance or even maybe pursue it further. So was it the touch or just her skills weren't good?
the skills just weren't there at that
Okay,
time.
But the
I
touch
wasn't
was good though.
expecting
You're like, oh, okay, she got a nice frame, nice little touch here. Okay.
Yeah, she was she was actually really fun to dance with. She
Okay.
had you could tell she had some musical backgrounds and things like that. But from a technical standpoint, she
it.
just
That wasn't
wasn't
there.
quite there yet.
Mm. And
But
how
I
long
could
had you been dancing at this time?
shoot. So I had been dancing for 12 years at that point.
Oh wow. I didn't know you'd been doing it that long. Good for you.
Mhm.
Mm.
Well, I mean,
So, and did you
granted,
was it a two step at first dance?
it was like
Hopefully.
yeah, something like two step.
Okay, maybe a one step, maybe a half
Huh.
step. Who knows?
Something like that.
Okay.
Um,
Hey, I was just following whatever you gave me, okay?
Yeah, but we had fun. But yeah, basically what I did was I just left her. I just left her alone. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to Mavericks the very next day. You know what? If she's gonna be there, if it's meant to be, she'll be there again.
Okay.
Came back and then I was like, all right, cool, cool. She's here. Hung out with her, stuff like that, a little bit. And then there was a secret ranch party that was going on that
Hmm.
very next weekend. And I was like, hey, are you going to go to that ranch party? She goes, I think I'm going to go. I think it sounds like fun. I was like, well, if you want, I can pick you up and whatnot. She was like, yeah, that sounds fun. I was like, well, how am I gonna take you if I don't have your number?
Hmm.
That was it.
So that was the first date, was
Okay,
this ranch party.
you know what's really funny? I still have those messages.
Nice.
Every now and then,
Go back
I
and read them.
visit those and just go back and be like, you remember this?
That was so awesome. So I want to hear from both of y'all when y'all knew that the other person was the one you wanted to marry.
Mm. You go first on this time.
Okay, I actually have it written down in my journal.
She actually does.
Legit.
She said it on her wedding day. It's part of her
I
vows.
figured.
Now, don't ask me like what day it was or anything like that. I actually think it was in August.
Okay.
It was probably August of 2021. I think about the time.
Yeah.
And it was there's two moments that stick out in my head.
Okay.
One of them, he had come over for dinner,
Mm.
and I totally sold him because I made the best ribeye steak I think I've ever made in my entire life.
Man, it's
Roasted
dinner
breast.
time for me right now. You getting me hungry.
I made the greatest dinner ever. And then he was like, "Oh my God, I'm sold." But then the other moment was we were you have a different recollection of this memory, but I think we were driving in the car. We were in Dallas at the time, and we had been dating and
Mm.
talking for a while. And I looked over at him and I was like, "Just for the record, we're exclusive. We're not talking to anybody else." And so, what did you call that?
Those are the executive orders
That's
that I was
right.
given that day.
I'll give me executive orders.
Yeah.
So like that was kind of the first time that we were like, no, this is legit. Like you and I are just talking to each other. We're not talking
Yeah.
about anybody else. Like I'm pursuing you. I like you enough. I see a future with you enough to not talk to anybody else. And then I think it was the night that I made you dinner and I wooed the crap out of you. And that was the moment. So I was like, yeah. I mean, it's like for me, it was more than just a specific moment though. Like I think that was like jokingly the moment for you, but it was a culmination over time. Like
I'm
it
sure you
wasn't
made
this,
him. I'm sure he felt like you would take care of him, and at
yeah,
that night.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't like a moment for me. I think it was a culmination of moments because I'm an observer. Like I tend to watch.
Yeah,
And so
that takes time to get to know somebody.
to see what I needed to see.
Hmm.
But I think that was that moment for me, maybe.
I think I knew I loved her, and knew that she was going to be the one. So to date and everything is whenever she actually started to stand up, and I actually felt wanted. I actually felt chased. That was actually really nice. Being the guy that is typically will chase, do the other things, it was actually really nice for that feeling to be reciprocated.
Yeah.
And so that's when I was like, you know what? If I'm going to fight for somebody, I want them to fight for me. And I felt that same way. And it was around the same time when I was giving the executive order.
Now,
So,
did that ever make you feel overwhelmed at all?
not really.
Okay. Because I struggle with that a little bit at first. Because we always say that when we want that, and Emily was the first person to come at me and make me feel one, and at first you're like, "Oh, is this what it's like?" Like, wow, this is like it's a little bit. At first it was like a little bit, then you accept it. You're like, "No, this is exactly what I've always wanted. I really appreciate this, and this is phenomenal."
Yeah, it's awesome to have somebody to have you feel like somebody's going to be behind you 100% and they're going to fight for you as hard as you're fighting for them.
Yeah.
So that reciprocation is really nice.
Yeah.
It's amazing to
Um,
feel wanted for
For
sure.
sure.
and then how I knew that we were going to that I was going to marry her and be with her for the rest of my life was actually right after our first argument.
Ooh.
I actually did not want to ask until after our first argument because the idea was is that all these times were great, and honestly a lot of the times Sarah and I really get along quite well, and it's funny because we're almost complete opposites in many different ways.
A lot of ways.
Um, but one of the things that I really appreciate is how we fought with each other. It wasn't a yell, scream, let's see who can be louder kind of like a fight. It was more of like, we're both adults. There's no need for any of that. Let's talk this out and let's come to a logical conclusion and let's move on from here. And then it was completely not like any other argument I had before, any other time I had dated. So it's something I really appreciated. I was like, you know what? If that's the hard times, man, I'm in for this. This
Yeah.
is it.
I love that. Now, my favorite question to ask dancers is, before you guys started dating, did y'all have any rules like in your mind at the time of saying, I'm never gonna date a dancer, this is my fun area? No, y'all are just open to
But
whatever.
two different people. All right, I'll tell you my answer. No, I heard, you have to understand, I was so new into the dancing. I hadn't been touched
So you
by
had, so you've
all
never even,
that
so Chris is the
yet.
only dancer you've ever dated. You found your cowboy.
I did. It was, I told you, 2 weeks, man. We had to get it done, right?
Chris, isn't it so nice to be the women in this relationship? You know, like we spent all these years busting our chops, trying to get as good as we can, and trying to spend all this time trying to find the right girl, and yet me and you just come along, Emily and Sarah, and they get the easy road. There's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, let's get married.
Okay, you're here. Yep. Man,
No, no, for me, it really like I had heard people like warn, but that's with every community, I feel like.
For
They're always
sure.
just like,
Well, I
oh,
started thinking there's not, I mean, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I really don't know many couples who actually date that go out and dance regularly. There's not really many out here or in Florida that we talk to. Is there many around you guys?
there's a few in
A few.
Austin.
few.
So like there's John and Heidi, Bob and Toots.
John Wells and Heidi.
That's that was
Oh,
John.
that's who. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Sorry.
John and Heidi. And there's a few around our specific area. There's actually one or two up in over in San Antonio. But Aaron and Pam is another one that like to go around and
Mhm.
dance. Love those
David
two.
and Karen.
David and Karen
Like
Miller.
they're there.
Love David.
Um,
It's
but
awesome.
I will agree with you that there's not many.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's not the
And a
majority.
lot of it's because of so I dated in the dance community before I ended up meeting Sarah, and that's one of those things that I'll stick with that. Like don't don't date in the dance pool as much as you can. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
granted, it's a great way for you to be able to meet people, get introduced to people, be that social butterfly, but it can get toxic very quickly depending on the person that you choose that you date.
Yeah.
So some people, it's not going to be all that bad, and you continue to keep on going. But others, it's like, that was tough. And I experienced both of those
Mhm.
realities with people that I had dated, that I had danced with before.
Yeah.
So
I found y'all's relationship interesting because you guys see a lot of comments I've seen on y'all's pages and mine where people are just so blown away at the fact that we can dance with other people besides our significant other. But y'all also teach at Mavericks and y'all are also, flown across the country, to go to all these different events and teach people. So y'all kind of have to dance with other people. When you, Chris, were you teaching when y'all first started dating? And did y'all ever have any sort of conversation of like, hey, I'd rather you not dance with other people, or is that something y'all had to work towards getting comfortable with? Or is it just something of, hey, this is the culture, just dance with, we just go there to have fun, dance with whoever.
So I was already semi-teaching.
Okay.
Well, I was already teaching at Cowboys Dance Hall San Antonio
Oh, okay.
before COVID shut everything down. That was because how I got into teaching was I just had a buddy who was like, "Hey, you're a good dancer. I just need somebody to cover some shifts for dance lessons. I'll pay you $100 and you can come drink for free." I'm like, "Hot dang, I'm in. Let's
Sounds like
do
a good night.
right." So that's kind of how I got started. And then whenever I met Sarah, Sarah had a good relationship with guys over at Mavericks, and so that's how we got the Mavericks gig, and that obviously blew up from there. And And
And
whenever
I've
we
personally been to y'all's class. Y'all have a ton of people. Out of all the lessons I've seen, y'all might have the most people of any class I've ever seen.
Thank you. It's awesome. It's been really cool. We've been given so much love by Thirsty Horse and Mavericks. Like both of
Mhm.
the organizations have given us so much love. And even Cowboys is still giving us a lot of love too,
Yeah.
even though we may not be teaching there right now currently. But what we did was is part of communication has been one of the biggest things for Sarah and I. And one of the things that we said, you know what? Whenever we go out and dance, the first dance is always ours.
Okay.
So no matter what, we don't dance with anybody until
Unless
then.
unless specified otherwise.
Yes. So the first
Okay.
dance, always and forever. Last dance may not always happen because maybe Sarah gets hurt or maybe Chris goes and drinks a little too much kind of thing. Like, and whatever the case is, the last dance is totally fine. It's always the first dance is the most intentional one anyway.
Hmm.
And then obviously if there's like a really special or sweet song, we'll dance with each other kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Or y'all
Um,
just spend 3 hours talking to Donnie and Emily in the back of, the dance hall and y'all don't even dance at all.
yeah, right.
No, or
True.
like it's yeah, so at first it was first dance, last
Uh-huh.
dance, and anything Kojo.
Yeah.
Oh, and then
Sure.
Kojo. Okay.
That was our parameters, and it's kind of dwindled a little bit. But we still have kept that first dance kind of sacred, again, unless specified otherwise, because sometimes, and I won't name names, but there's somebody here that likes to socialize, and sometimes he just gets to talking to people, and I'm over there going,
He's networking. He's networking. He's building
he's doing his job.
relationships.
He's doing his job,
Chris is
but
never off the clock.
No,
no. You're
unfortunately.
a small business owner, you are never off the clock.
No,
Oh,
that's fact.
But
that's one of the things we talked about. And one of the things that we tell couples, we love teaching couples a lot
yeah.
actually. And what we tell them is even when they come to group classes, as much as I love dancing with Sarah a lot and even learning with her, I actually also like dancing without her, mainly because as much like in life, Sarah covers up my mistakes. So I don't want her to cover up my mistakes while I'm learning to be better.
For
Because what
sure.
happens, I'll dance with 5 or 6 other people, and let's say there's just that one person that does it a little differently from Sarah. And I'm like, oh, I kind of like that. That was kind of nice. And then maybe that another person is just not skilled yet. They're still growing, and I have to learn how to lead that better. So now by the time I get to Sarah, and I'm like, I run through it. I'm like, oh, Sarah's like, oh, that's actually really nice. So I adapted to everybody else. And then Sarah, at that point in time, she had been with all the other leads. So now she understands like what the leads are asking, or she understands how to adapt depending on the situation.
For sure. Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely great advice. Do people ever ask y'all for not just dance advice, but maybe, couples advice of going out to a bar and what they should expect, or, maybe a situation arise and they just wanted y'all's advice? And if so, what
Yeah.
kind of questions do y'all get asked?
100%. I mean, we help people navigate not only when we say we help people navigate the dance scene, we not only mean did the dance part of it, but also the scene itself.
Hmm.
Um, and I feel like a lot of people think like if I go out drinking, I'm gonna go out drinking and play cornhole or go out drinking and watch sports. Like, I don't think I could ever go back to just bar hopping and sitting and drinking. Like I'm there to dance. I'm there to do something.
Facts.
And that's something that we're doing is, let's be honest, it's a contact sport. You're very close with another person.
Hmm.
You're at a bar, there's alcohol involved. Sometimes there's minimal clothing. Like let's be real. Like
It's me with the
it
minimal
could be
clothing.
right, right.
I've seen the
But
photos.
I have photos. Um, but like it can get kind of weird for people, especially if they're new. We've had so many different scenarios. Everyone from they're in their early 20s and they're just wanting to get out into the dating scene. Maybe they're off on their own with their very first job and they're trying to navigate life a little bit and they're just trying to socialize. All the way to people who have had spouses pass away and
Mhm.
they're just trying to figure out how to move forward and like how to get themselves back out there. So we always have a saying that you never know who walks into a bar. Like anyone can walk into a bar, and you never know what kind of day they're having or anything like that, which is why we always cultivate such a warm and inclusive community. But we help all kinds of people
And from
navigate stuff, questions from like, how do I talk to girls to I just want to get laid? How do I do that? Like,
Yep, and I mean seriously, like one of the things we do is we will ask people before we do any lesson, before you do any private lessons, we ask them what your goal is. Like, what do you want to get out of this? And one person actually said,
I
"Look,
want to get
I
laid.
just want to get laid." It's like, you know what?
Hey, that's what
And
I
what
mean.
can you do to
I
tell
didn't go
me
into
what?
it to get laid. I mean, in a sense, yes, but I wanted to find somebody.
Right.
And that is the great part about dancing because nothing frustrated me more than the bar scene in my early 20s where you just had to walk up to some girl, "Here, can I buy you a drink?" You know, like, are you even worth me spending my money on? Are you even fun to talk to? That's the great thing about dance is you do learn how to talk to somebody, learn how to socialize. You can walk up to somebody, "Hey, would you like to dance with me?" And sometimes they say no, but if they do say yes, you get 4 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes just to talk to them, see if they can carry a conversation. And if they do, maybe you do ask them to buy them a drink or, you do chit chat some more for the night.
It's always a vehicle, and
Yep.
one of the things
Mhm.
that I kind of want to piggyback on with Sarah is like we get all kinds, especially in the area that we're at. We get everything from the person that's a janitor at a high school, all the way up to one of the founders of Netflix that we've taught how to dance, and
Nice.
everybody uses it for a different reason, and it's something that I absolutely love about dance more than anything else, especially teaching at the bars.
Yep.
We've
So
gotten
go
tons
ahead.
of, sorry, we just get tons of questions too. Like, I've been asked, uh, because we're Christians. I've gotten asked like,
Mm.
how do I navigate the dance scene as a Christian woman? Or how do I how do I navigate the clothing that's worn in a bar? Like, how do I stay true to the modesty that I know and love and want to stay true by, but navigate it in the dance? Like, there's so much stuff that
We help
it's
people
like
navigate.
Well, I
we're
want
like
to I want to hear
the
your
most
answer.
deepest therapists out there,
Tell me your answer. I'm curious. I'm gonna have a conversation about that.
right? Wait, which one? Which
The
question?
modesty, the Christian modesty question.
Yeah, well, and it's gosh,
We had this question out in Virginia, I
I
believe.
think it was Virginia.
Yeah.
It was nuts because nobody have ever asked me that before. Um, and I really, at the moment I told her, I was like, just stay true to who you are. And if it makes you uncomfortable, then don't wear it or
Yeah.
don't do it or don't say it. Modesty
Yeah.
can come in many forms, not just from the clothes you wear, but the words you say and the actions that you take and stuff like that. And I was like, just stay true to what you know, what you've learned. Um, and don't, like it's fine to try new things and it's cool and everything, but like if you don't feel comfortable in it, don't wear it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
No,
you don't like the way you sound when you say those words, then don't say them.
yep.
Like
I,
it's truly just staying true to yourself and
I
knowing
think
what that is.
I think that's great advice because you can only control yourself and your actions. And because I grew up in a really heavy Christian school and everything, but then once you start going out, it's a completely different world. People are saying things, doing things, talking about things, and you're just like, man, you're kind of glad parents sheltered you from all that growing up, but then you're kind of like, is this what real life is like? Like, am I a weirdo and I'm not liking these other people? And then I started trying some, never did drugs or anything, but like you kind of change who you are, you expand your life a little bit, and then you do that, and then you get there and you're just like, okay, I don't want to go this far. There's a happy medium there.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that was great advice you gave her. So, when you guys are teaching, are you guys mainly teaching two step at Mavericks? And when you guys travel, what are you guys teaching? And did I see something about you guys teaching nightclub two step now also online?
So, so it really depends on the day. So,
Okay.
right now on Wednesdays, at Thirsty Horse, we're currently teaching something called Progressive Country Swing, which we pretty much tell it like it is. It's essentially just a fusion dance. So, oftentimes it's typically two step, and then somebody stops in front of you, somebody's walking in front of you, and you can't really move forward anymore. You just want to be able to do something there. We'll typically fuse it with some sort of stationary dance, like West Coast Swing, for instance.
Yeah.
and so we do that for a second, collect back together, and just continue to keep on rolling. Something of that nature. And on Thursdays is what we call our dancer's choice. So what happens is since we teach two step on Friday and Saturday at Mavericks Buda, that Thursday we tell everybody not every song you can two step to. Like there's other dances that are out there because of the different BPMs and et cetera, right? So we start offering, so every single Tuesday on our social media, we'll actually offer four different choices for people to select from. That allows our subscribers, our followers to be able to decide what they want to learn. And then the top two choices get selected on that Thursday by everybody that shows up. So far we've taught West Coast Swing, Triple Two, we've taught Cowboy Cha-Cha,
Denver Cha-Cha.
Denver Cha-Cha. We've taught Waltz, Country Swing, and a few others. And so
Okay, do tell. What's triple two?
triple two. So triple two is a triple walk walk. So typically what you're going to see at
Okay.
UCWDC is very different from what you're going to see actually in the bar.
So it's just like polka almost, just walk ish.
It's polka
With a walk
with a
walk.
walk.
Yeah.
Walk. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a progressive dance around the dance floor.
Yeah, it's so it's also commonly called double two. So where you can typically do your two-step patterns, but it's a triple walk. So think about your quick quicks as now as your walks on your triple
Okay.
two.
So y'all just do all the spins and stuff on the triples?
On the walks.
On the walks.
On the walks.
Not always like everything is an asterisk, but
Well,
yeah.
yeah, for the most part, yeah. This was
General rule of thumb there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We try to teach things that are going to be seen in the dance hall, and we teach them as they're going to be doing it in the dance hall.
Which is
that was my
studio and bar.
Yeah, that is the tough part and the big debate. Have you guys listened to Glenn Ball's podcast at all?
Oh, I mean, like there's no such thing as Glenn Ball podcast.
Yeah, no such thing. What is y'all's count for country swing?
Ooh, man. So
do you want me to start and you can develop a thought?
Oh, you go for it. You got it.
Oh, okay. Great.
I was like, her brain's up here.
So as we all know, there's a lot of different methods floating around.
Mm-hmm.
Chris and I like the rock step back first and then the two step forward. So
we actually made a video on this.
We did. We made a video on this.
I would love to see it.
Yeah. And
I'll send it to you.
He'll work on that one too. I think there's a lot of different ways that you can articulate things. Just like there's a lot of different ways to articulate a two-step that all mean essentially the same thing. It's just some ways to articulate it make sense with others. And so I don't think it's necessarily wrong to say slow, quick. I don't think that it's wrong to count the steps that you're doing. So when Chris and I teach country swing at the bar, we teach it with the steps, not the number of beats, but the steps that you're taking. And so in the country swing that we do, it's 6 steps. You rock back on 1, 2, 3, 4. You rock back on 4, 5, 6, 1. So you're rocking back ones and fours. So we do our ones and fours are rock back. 2s and 5s are directions, meaning like
left side pass, right side pass.
And the follow is attacking the leads position. And then 3 and 6 are going to be your find your partner. So those are those moments where the dance rotates. And we think that it's a folk dance. It's not, I can see where like when I think the Nomads came out with like the star pattern and stuff like that. I can totally see where that would be applicable. But I don't think it totally follows a star pattern the whole time, which is why Chris and I like to think of it as the spokes on a bike tire. Like it's in a different way. It may not necessarily be a star exactly, every single time, but that's essentially it's a characteristically stationary dance.
Yeah.
We teach it as you rock back on a slow first. We articulate it in 6 steps, which is technically 8 beats, 8 down beats of time.
1 hold 2, 3, 4, 5 hold 6, 7, 8.
Interesting.
And we actually, at least to us, have come up with 3 basics of country swing.
And usually in terms of the timing, so like we can call it slow, quick, but considering the music that we're typically dancing to, it's more of like a walk, hold, walk. as what it more or less resembles. And honestly, teaching it as a walk, hold, walk, walk, we feel is a little bit better, especially with some of the basic patterns from a lot of the observations that we've done, like the redirects, the he goes, she goes, which some people call the infinity loop, whatever the case is,
Yep.
and then the push pattern. Push pattern specifically is why we started teaching it as the walk, hold, walk, walk,
Gotcha.
because the push, whenever you end up giving that push, it's 5 and 6 and 1
for the follows.
for the follows, but it's just 5, 6, 1 for the leads.
Yeah.
And so that's why we teach it that way.
Yeah.
Kristen, video.
I just have found this so interesting because, when you first go to a bar, you just learn all these moves. You have no idea what the hell you're listening with music. You just think you just do all these crazy fun moves. And then I start going to a ballroom studio and, the first thing I ever want to learn was West Coast swings. I see all these great people online and, I go into the ballroom studio and, my instructor, she's like, okay, you're going to go back on 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm like, do what now? I'm like, I have to move my feet on beat to a music while trying to lead somebody else and think of what move I want to do. This is bananas. I don't want to do this. Literally, it's like, what is going on here? And then once you start learning it, then you go back to the bar scene and you like want to tell all your friends, you're like, guys, guess what I learned? And then everybody's just like,
Trash.
yeah, and like we don't care, cool, you know. But they teach it at Arthur Murray as just 1, 2, 3, 4, which I just particularly do like that. Now I've seen the way y'all dance country swing, which it's dance the same, as just no holds in it, no slows in what they teach at Arthur Murray. Um, I like it just because if I'm in a bar and I'm dancing with somebody and you're trying to explain how to dance on beat to somebody, and I tell, hey, it's one beat, one step per beat of music, that can click with somebody because you're like, hey, you're listening for that beat, and you're just gonna take one. When you start getting into quicks and slows with somebody when there's loud music at 10:30 at night on a Friday, they're like,
And
what?
alcohol.
What's a slow? You're gonna step and hold? That doesn't make any sense.
Country swing is a great way, great entry drug, if you will, into
Yes.
dancing altogether.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Well, and if you think about it too, I also don't think that there's anything wrong. For example, East Coast swing, triple step, rock step. They have a single time East Coast swing.
Single swing.
All right, we've got 2 step, quick, quick, slow,
Yes.
slow. We 1 step here in Austin all the time. Why
Yeah.
can't we have a rhythmed country swing pattern and then also acknowledge the fact that there could be a single time country
Yes.
swing?
Well,
Why
I
can't
agree.
they?
I think the most basic version you're gonna teach somebody, just in my opinion, should be the single time. Just and because this is just, hey, this is an introduction to dance, one step per beat of music. But then, like you said, then you can get to more advanced versions, and then you can teach different. Because no matter the dance, you can do different timings, on them. You just have the basic version that you're teaching somebody to start. And that is what nobody can agree on is what the basic is. Now, one thing I had never thought about until Glenn brought it up to me is what music we're dancing country swing to. And because I knew it, but I didn't think about it because when you go to a Latin club, and I believe y'all have been to Latin dance events, I believe. I know you guys know rumba because I've talked about it with Chris before. But when you go to a Latin club, every song that comes on, you know that it's a salsa or a bachata or a merengue or a cha-cha. Country swing, or if you go to a country club, you don't know what's a country swing song.
So, man, So, one of the things I would tell you, what's indicative of a country swing song is 9 times out of 10, there's usually some sort of snap track that's going on. So,
Meaning like it's the new age, it's a poppier song because they typically will add that in their song.
which is why West Coast swing became such a bigger influence inside of country swing. And which how one of the things I give a lot of credit for with Devin saying on the podcast with Glenn was that it's in a bad relationship with it, which some people from West Coast Swing are trying to make it into something else. And then honestly, on the other side of that, people from the countryside are trying to make it into something that it is. So there's two different sides trying to merge in on it because there's such a large community for it.
Yeah,
But
So
the
also
music was a big deal.
the music is a
for
big deal.
sure.
Probably a snap track, and by that he just means it's more of the new age country. It's more poppy, and quite honestly, the BPMs are a little faster. You're going to
Yeah.
see the higher end BPMs, and I think that's really where a lot of this stuff has derived from because You can't, I'm not saying you can't, because technically you could twerk to George Strait. So you can technically do anything you want to do.
Yeah.
Dance is an interpretation
I
of your own.
I wouldn't choose to do it, but it's whatever. You know, it would be harder to two-step to a song that was really fast. And so I think people, as music has evolved, so has dance. And so has this country swing stuff. And people have been doing it and they've been fusing some things together. And I think it's super cool. And
That's
I
the
think,
90 to 150 beats per minute range that
yeah, because we actually sat in the house one day with a metronome, not music, just a metronome. And we
Yeah.
started clicking up and up. We started at a base level and we said, this is comfortable, or this is way too slow. This is painfully slow. I would double time this.
Yeah.
This is comfortable. This is fast, and I would half time this.
Yeah.
And so we found our range. So
So are these conversations that you guys are having with your students when they come to Mavericks? Because I just think there is and I don't think there's a lack of instructors out there. I think there's a lack of bar owners who really understand the dance scene, and they don't bring in instructors and pay them well enough to create a culture at dance halls. There are very few bars I've been to, and I've probably been to 20 plus all across the country between Texas and East Coast. And there's very few that have an actual culture of where people actually understand the music. Some bars, for example, Fort Lauderdale, which I know we've also hung out at, if you go there on a Friday or Saturday, the DJ comes over the mic and he says, I got a couple two steps. Now for my cha-cha, people who want to cha-cha, I got a waltz. Now we're going to line dance. That really lacks. So are you guys having these conversations, like just teaching what people should be listening to, trying to set that culture in Mavericks?
let's talk about the bar stuff.
okay.
Yes, we do teach our students that. And it is learning. I've been doing music my whole life.
Mm.
And so to me, a lot of that stuff is very second nature. Chris actually had to really learn how to critically listen to music. And it is absolutely one of the things that we teach students. We may not get to teach it in a group lesson scenario. We try our best. We have a very limited amount of time.
We breeze over it, maybe like 5 minutes. It's like, cool, here's the footwork,
Yeah.
here's the timing to the
But
footwork.
just something to put in their brains.
Right. For private lessons, we 110%. And even in workshop scenarios, if we do a musicality class and things like that, we actually debuted a class at Worlds last year, and it's evolved now a little bit. But Chris and I came up with a class called, I guess, Music in Motion. And it's really less about what to do at phrase changes in particular times, but it's actually teaching people how to listen to music critically. So instead of me trying to tell you what I would do in this phrase change, it's learning to get you to identify where it's at, or getting you to start listening to the levels of music and getting you to start identifying, quick, slow. So this is a good two-step, than it is me just telling you what I would do or what Chris would do, because it's art. You know what I mean?
So,
Go ahead, Chris.
yeah, I was gonna say, as of the bars, is I know one thing I really do applaud some of the bars that are around here, Texas specifically, are trying to do. They're trying to enact something similar to that, to where they have some sort of formula, some sort of set list where it's like, great, we're going to increase the BPMs after a while, then we're going to get to club party music, then we're going to slow it back down. We continue to go around. And I really appreciate that they've done that, because I know that's always a big complaint for a lot of people that go out and dancing a lot. It's just not having enough two steps, not having a waltz to dance to all night long, or having something other than the same thing they've been hearing every single time. Because as a dancer, you want it, like, the versatility is nice.
Well,
but we try to work with bars on how to be able to grow a really good dance community. So sometimes whenever we do get hired for these individual workshops of ours, we make it a point to actually work with a local bar that everybody likes to go to, and help them out in any way that they would like, for us to be able to help them foster a really good dance community, and a community that is also there to support the bar. Because one of the things that we even get onto some dancers about from time to time is the best way we support our bars is by buying that bottle of water if you're not going to drink that night, or buying a drink, paying the cover, because that's what's
tipping. Even if you get a bottle of water, tip a little bit more, because those people are there.
for sure.
Yeah, the idea is we need a place to be able to go out and dance. And yeah, does it suck paying for water from time to time? Of course. Like when you could just go get some out of the tap water, right? But that's also how you support the business that you're at. And that is so vital. And
Yeah.
creating a community that's around that is so important because the whole reason Red Dirt even started was that to actually save dance halls because I was hearing how they were dying out and I wanted to save them. And then obviously it just made its turn, but we're trying to like help turn it back.
Well, no, it's not that we went away. It's we're using our platform now, although it is packaged like a teaching platform, we also still support dance halls a lot. And like Chris said, when we go places,
Yeah.
we want them to be successful
Because
too.
we want to grow the community. We want to grow the communities a lot, like not only just from a dancing standpoint, but from a true community standpoint.
I agree. And I want to get there in a second. But I like the point of having a structure and also announcing whether it's a waltz. Because when you have to cater to people who have never been into a bar before, in my opinion. Because if people aren't learning anything, then they may not stick with it because they know what the hell's going on. Like when I first walk into a club, I have no idea what anything is. But if you hear a DJ announce, this is a waltz, two-step foxtrot. You may go home and Google it. There's so much information online now. Or, they might see a two-step and like, man, that looks so cool. And they'll see somebody like you guys who are great dancers, and they'll come up to y'all and say, "Hey, I saw you guys two-step. Like, how do I get into that? Like, what's the best place to learn?" And then they can ask a better educated question. But if you just go in there and you see do a bunch of stuff, and you're just like, "The hell? Okay, cool. They do all these crazy moves. How do I even start?"
Right.
Yeah, it's just a common question we get often.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, that's which is why I
Yeah.
wanted to do this podcast too, is because I've had a lot of instructors on this podcast because everybody messages me all the time. They're like, "Well, how do I learn? How do I start?" And I'm like, there's so many great people that I've met over the last several years, whether it be social media or in person, who are teaching and are trying to set this culture. And they do take dance very seriously, and they want to share that with people. And I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, and oftentimes I love it whenever people message us because we'll actually help them find local instructors. I will even help them find certain information if they're looking for something.
Yep.
Hell,
We
even
we
YouTube
really try to,
channels now.
yeah,
Yeah, we do. We have a saying that a mentor of ours told us, and there is
Blake Elder, love him to death.
love him to death. If you've never heard or seen or taken one of his, we have a, by the way, we have a status. We call it, between Chris and I, we want to be Blake Elder status. That man has 200 plus people in his group lessons every single night.
Good for
Teaches
him.
at Cowboy every Friday through Saturday.
Phenomenal. Like, anyways, at the very beginning of the conversation, you were like, "Yeah, you guys' class are the biggest I've ever seen," and I'm like, "We're not at Blake Elder status yet." That's awesome.
Well, I
But
have not been to Red River yet, but one day.
okay, you can
Man,
go.
I've heard good
that's a
things.
party. to have. You let me know when you're gonna go.
Yeah, you let us know.
Oh, Emily wants to
Um,
go to Dallas so bad. So it's just we have obviously so many friends in Austin. My family's in Austin, so they let me stay, and that's obviously a big plus when you get to stay with family.
true.
True.
Facts. He
Yeah,
has family in Dallas.
yeah,
So
which is why I also love visiting Dallas because I get to go see family and then go dance at the same time. So the dance community up there is a lot of fun.
Is that what
yeah,
3 hours from you?
Well, 3.5.
yeah.
Yeah,
But he said there's a piece of the pie for everybody.
yeah,
There is a place for everybody. Like there is no need to be greedy. There is no need to be, overly competitive with each other and super secretive and stuff. Like just we share people with other instructors. We have zero problems with saying this person's great for this person's great for this. We punt people over to local studios. Like we have zero issue with any of that. And we love it. Like Chris just said, we love it when people message us because we do travel all over the United States. So we have people from Arizona saying, I'm moving to Florida, people from Florida saying, I'm moving to Texas, people from Texas saying, I'm moving to Colorado. Like, and then we get them connected, and it's
yeah.
so cool.
Yep. That's awesome. So did y'all feel like social media changed y'all's bar at R? Because I felt like after people started seeing line dancing on TikTok and YouTube, and then all of a sudden I just felt like we had this explosion on the East Coast of all these great new dancers.
Yeah, social media, there was a huge like social media boom that happened. Like especially coming out of COVID. I think there was a huge boom that happened and people started seeing it like, you know what, I can go do that too. And honestly, which is awesome. It can be frustrating from time to time because sometimes it's like, I just created this new content and it is what it is. But I love to see like all these other people showing up because the idea is that dance is one of those few industries where it's just passed down. It's passed down to passed down kind of thing. And so having more people out and dancing is incredible. And that's one thing that I tell pretty much every guy that starts dancing is like, look, if you go learn to dance, you're one of the top 1% in the world who knows how to dance. And it's so important for you to get out there, especially if you're trying to meet new people. It's a great way to talk to somebody that you may even speak the same language as, which is actually really cool. If you've ever danced with somebody that doesn't even speak English, is awesome.
I have, it's super weird, but it's super cool.
It is really awesome.
It's like I have no idea what we're saying, but I do know what we're saying, you know?
Dance is a language.
It really is.
It's cool.
So as instructors, I know people are gonna think that you guys know everything, but obviously I know both of you, and you guys both obviously try and get better all the time. So who helps you two get better?
Oh man, this is the shout out time. We got a list.
Okay, my first shout out has to go to him because I think he's my first person. You know, we're constant. That's kind of the cool thing about the duplicity is that I get to bounce ideas off of him and he gets to bounce ideas off of me. Not only from like a business perspective and stuff, but like just sharpening each other.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that I do this, I know I do this, probably more than what Chris bargained for. But I question a lot of things because my background is actually very science based. It's what
Mhm.
I did prior to doing any of this stuff, dance related full time. So I'm like trained to question everything and to ask why and see if there's a better way to do something. And so we kind of, I think, sharpen each other in a
Okay.
way. So my first shout out is going to be my dance partner and my husband and my business partner because he deals with a lot of my crap.
True.
And he helps me a lot. And although he says a lot to people that I cover his mistakes, he also covers a lot of mine. And so he's pretty cool for that.
Yeah, obviously I love the fact that Sarah helps push me a lot. But if I had to give credit to others that teach us, which helps save our marriage in a way, because oftentimes it's not because like we can learn anything online, but hiring somebody to be that mediator between us is like awesome because it's like great. I don't care if I'm right or if I'm wrong. I just want to be able to do this kind of thing, right? And so
You need a third eye.
hiring somebody is really helpful. And so some of the most influential people to my dance, not in any particular order, would be Blake Elder.
Okay.
Mike McKinney is actually one of the first guys that got me started as
Okay.
well. Also there in the Dallas local area. And then Robert Royston has been a huge component into that.
He's very knowledgeable. I listened to him on Glenn Ball's podcast. He was good.
Yeah,
A lot of what we teach stems from him. And
we
he's going
Okay.
to give me as possible because he's awesome.
Yeah, we spent a week with him up in New York, did a champ camp with him, and we subscribed to his Sunday Science, which by the way is awesome. Definitely go check that out if you get a chance to. Um, but love him. We've also had Laureen Baldovi, Susan Kirkland, Gary McIntyre, Patty
Susan
Vo
and Gary
also
are
helped us out.
phenomenal. I like
Yeah.
watching
Yeah,
you
like
dance.
we're so lucky with where we're at in Austin, having so many like super pro champs like, that are around that are incredible.
Yeah.
But whenever we do travel, we do our best to try to go meet with local pros and actually go learn from them more than anything.
Like Patty was a great example. Patty Bo, who's coming to Forever Country Fest
Which
here
is
just
coming this
this
weekend.
weekend.
Steven
Um,
Spellman.
Yeah.
yeah. We were in North Carolina this last time
Mhm.
with James with Southern Steps.
He's awesome, by the
Awesome.
way. Go check out his events.
But I was like, however, we found that Patty taught there, and I was like, well, let's see if we can get a lesson with her. She sounds really cool. And it was like 11 o'clock at night, and this lady drove an hour to meet us, like
Wow.
In an attic of a bar.
in the attic of a bar. We're sitting there having a lesson with Patty Vo at like
That's
11 o'clock at
awesome.
night, and poor James and Laura were over there like passing out on the chairs because they were tired because it was the same day that we did a workshop and a comp and everything like that. We were just like, whatever.
Yeah, and what was awesome is that each one of these instructors that we've learned from, they've all helped contribute into our growth.
Yeah.
And so like there's like a much longer list that we can give, but the ones that we visit frequently have been those.
I feel like dance instructors are the most passionate about their craft out of anybody I've ever met in any profession.
I agree. It's dances. There's certainly a love that goes behind it, and
Mhm.
one of the things that we'll tell people often, which is a question we commonly get, is where do you find the love in dance now that's become your full-time thing? And honestly, the answer changes. I know for me, I since I played professional sports, I love moving the body. I love finding that stuff out. Whenever I dance, I think about it as like a 3-minute puzzle that I get to put together with all like the tools and toys that I've learned over the years. I find so much joy into that. And then I also find a lot of joy in actually being able to teach and travel with my wife, which is literally a dream come true. It's awesome.
It's
So
awesome. Very
dance
happy for
instructors
you.
man, find love through dance a lot in different ways.
Yep. Is there any styles of dance that you guys have not learned that you would like to learn?
Ooh, okay. The one style that woos the crud out of me right now is Latin. Anything Latin, and I just get so wooed by it. I get giddy and I get giggly, which makes me really happy because that's kind of what it was like for me at the beginning of country dancing. Like when I
Yeah.
first the scene, I would get giggly and wooed by the whole thing. And so it's not that I don't anymore, but like Chris said, it kind of like evolves, like whatever. But Latin for me right now.
Yeah, we when we went
I
down to
love it.
McAllen, we had such a fun time. She did yeah, we did she did lots of salsa, bachata. Um
I felt amazing.
Um, so for me, I think some of the things I want to learn a little bit more is Argentine tango. I've been dying to learn that. That's one of the things that you and I have been talking about. Salsa's been a lot of fun to learn. Bachata's been fun to
Hey, that
learn.
Cuban emotion will wear your ass out though, man. Those and then you go to Latin clubs, man, and these people and like they dance it all night long. Like Latino people dance more than anybody I've ever met in my entire life, and they will sit there and moving their hips from freaking 9 o'clock at night until 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just like, how do y'all find this? I am so unbelievably amazed by them.
It's in the
Abs of
culture, man.
abs of steel, man. Like, can you imagine?
Oh, I would
But
say,
yeah, it's fun. That the other thing I want to learn is I really want to learn more body isolation. So I'm trying to get more into to like hip hop.
ooh, that's good. That's the one thing about country dance that kind of sucks is like you don't really, especially as a league, you really don't move our frame all that much. We just kind of, but when you go get into Latin dancing and everything, then you have to, get in your hips and your body and all these different little spots. Everything else, you're just, mm.
Yeah. Which, P.S., is one of the reasons, unpopular opinion, that I don't think West Coast swing is in a very good relationship with two-step. Because I
No,
think it's
why? Do tell.
it's just a different dance. Like there's
Yeah.
just different. I mean, it's not that there's not similarities, but because there's similarities between all the dances. Like the ragdoll dip that everybody does, I feel like that's done in bachata all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Hair
yeah. Well, there's
same
only
thing.
so many moves you can do. You're just doing it to a different pattern.
Yeah.
Which is why actually how we started one of our things of content was because a move is a move is a move. It just depends on what rhythm you choose to use it at.
But then
Yes.
like, but then it's just the style. Like there's a style of Latin dancing. There's a style of country. There's a style of West Coast swing.
Yeah.
And like I just don't think that two-step is as ooey gooey as West Coast swing is. I'm not saying it doesn't happen on occasion, but I just don't think it's the overarching
It's just the
style.
style of the dance. Yeah. Of course, as people say online, you're just walking around the dance floor.
Yeah.
So last thing I want to talk to you guys about is social media. Um, why did you guys decide to start a social media channel? And what do you think are the pros and cons from it?
Ooh, man, of all the people to talk to about that.
I know we've had some 3 hour discussions about that, Chris.
Yeah, we have. Um,
Introducing Red Dirt Dancing social media department.
so, Oh man, so we started Red Dirt Dancing originally to be able to help save the dance halls. That turned into Follow My Dance Career, and then that turned into our teaching platform.
Mm.
And so whenever we were starting our teaching, we were trying to like promote that we were having lessons and stuff. And at the time, I was a VP of sales and marketing for a liquor promotions company.
Mm.
So I was already doing lots of research and helping out the media and marketing for that company. And then we ended up getting some help from a friend of ours, and that helped launch us into our whole social media thing. And part of it was actually because of TikTok.
P.S. I was very against getting TikTok.
Yeah,
Mm.
It was
Wow.
not because of me that we got TikTok.
because of security reasons, XYZ. But we did it, and I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's let it loose. Our very first video, how to two-step, got like 2 million views. Very first video, and I was like,
Oh, I
yeah,
remember. And then
yeah,
everybody was arguing with you and telling you guys that you guys weren't doing it right. Which
yeah.
I don't get. And then you see these comments, and I don't understand it because I go to Texas, and by and large, everybody knows how to two-step there, and they know it's quick, quick, slow, slow. By and large, that's what everybody does there. But then you get these people online who say, "I'm from Texas. That's not how you two-step," and I'm just like, "Yo, literally, this is a video of me in Texas, or it's a video of y'all." And I'm like, "They literally teach in Texas. What the hell are you talking about? I don't get
Yeah,
it."
we get that
I,
often.
but
And
I
oftentimes
digress.
it's because it's like like even I learned it as 1 2 1 or left left right, but sometimes you don't realize that your feet are coming together. It's not 1 2 and then one. It is 1 2 3 4. So that's what gets a lot of people. But anyway, that being said, when we got that help, we continued to grow from there, and it has had a lot of great benefits, like such as us being able to do this full time. That's one of the biggest pros that we've had. It's allowed us to travel, it's allowed us to teach, it's allowed us to grow. And honestly, I think because of our platform, we've gotten some opportunities that we may not have had if we hadn't actually started growing our social media. Some of the cons. Um, Sometimes it can be very time consuming. It can be absolutely time consuming creating content, getting out there, and then sometimes there's like a wall you have to get over of what you want to show the world and what the world thinks they know versus what is actually happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So it all depends
Yeah.
on what we want to show the world kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that I luckily, thankfully, knock on wood, we haven't had any extreme cases to where somebody's trying to find out where we live or anything like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
There's no murder threats.
So like we haven't had those extreme cases yet, and I know that a few of our friends that are in social media have had that happen before.
Hmm.
Um, and so I don't think anything, and I hope nothing like that ever happens. But um, I think that's been one of the bigger cons is just knowing that there are people that are out there that can push the limits from time to time, and that's
Yeah.
something that I hope that we never have to experience.
It's just truly it's learning, it's navigating how personal is personal because you want to come across as a person because that's exactly who you are.
Yeah.
And like
We want to show
we
us.
want to show who we are and stuff, but then there's also, I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of, dare I say, millions of people watching who we are, and then it can get kind of dicey, and
Yeah.
that's really my biggest concern about a
Yeah.
lot of it is like how personal is too personal. Like I'm not the kind of person where everybody like I don't really care what you think about me so much, and social media is very much perpetuating that mindset of like
Yeah.
look at me, look at, what I'm doing, where I'm going, what I'm eating, who I'm with, the party I went to. It's just kind of
And
hard
that took a
sometimes.
while for her to get to
Yeah.
because whenever we got
I'm still
engaged,
getting to it.
yeah, whenever we got engaged, originally she wanted that to be like an us thing, not like a red dirt dancing thing. Because oftentimes we talk about it as Team Ivy and Team Red Dirt.
Mm.
And so whenever the engagement videos went out and somebody actually screen recorded it and posted it and whatnot. Sarah was like, I feel very violated right now.
It was not pretty. I
Yeah.
did not, I did not like, I don't know. I just felt like the boundaries were crossed and I didn't like somebody else taking this incredibly intimate and special moment
Yeah.
and sharing it. I didn't even like the fact that it was shared to begin with,
Yeah.
actually. I
Well, it's
didn't
tough. I
like it.
mean, y'all have a lot of fans. People buy y'all's merch, and people
Yeah.
Man,
do absolutely adore y'all.
Yeah.
which I
I
love. And
love that.
yes, and honestly, if it wasn't for their support, we would
True.
not be doing what we're doing today.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I genuinely love it and I appreciate it. And
Yeah.
I think part of it kind of stemmed from they were just really excited for us,
Right.
kind of thing. It was, I don't think it was meant for any malintent or anything of that
Yeah.
nature.
No.
But
It's learning those boundaries. I don't know if you guys have dealt with that at all, but
You just
if
have to learn to accept it. It's a ride. There's gonna be pros and cons. You just have to accept it. Whatever comes your way.
dare I
Deal with it in the
say,
moment.
yeah, and dare I say, just have to go numb. You have to go numb to it in a way.
That was the hard part for Emily when she first started growing a following and people start coming up to her is because you know I think in our minds you think you're cool and fun and everything, but then at the same time when people do actually care, you question why do you actually care and want to watch, you know? But to y'all's point earlier is, whether it be somebody who comes into a lesson with you guys or sees a video online, you never know what somebody is going through. And so seeing you guys have a smile on your face, and knowing that, hey, you guys met in a dance hall might give hope to somebody, of, hey, maybe I'll find my partner in a dance hall one day, or I'm just having a rough time. Seeing these two people smile and have fun just gets my mind off of, what's going on in the world and puts a smile on my face. And they genuinely become fans. And obviously, I've known you guys for a long time, had lots of conversations with you guys. You guys are phenomenal people. We love talking to you guys. So I don't blame anybody for being fans of y'all. But with that being said, are there going to be some people who push that boundary? Sure. But that's just what you just have to accept when you're going to put yourself out there. And, there's more good, I think, that comes with it than the bad. So when the bad things do happen, or if it is a little too much, just is what it is.
and we do
Yep.
have haters. We certainly have haters. We have people reporting some of our teaching videos for illicit content. We have
Oh,
yeah, we have
yeah.
people that also report some of our content because they don't believe that we should be teaching, that we're terrible people, that we're stealing business from people.
Even
Um,
some people in our day-to-day lives, like not even just on our videos, just day-to-day lives that will say like, oh, they suck, or they're not as good as everybody thinks they are, or they say a lot of things, and it's just like,
it is what it is, and if anybody's watching this that is trying to start something, one of the things that was the hardest thing to get over was once you start having haters, that means you're going in a direction that that is obviously a little bit controversial, but that means you're going to put people on your side and people against your side, and so like just get over that hump because people are going to hate you regardless of what you do.
So
So
might as well
just
go
get
for it.
there to do it. Yeah, you live for that, man. You absolutely live for that. You're actually one of the examples of whenever people ask us like, how do you get over that? I'm like, you know what person actually really feeds into those haters? And I love how he manages it. I was like, you should go check out Don Hollywood. So I probably sent probably a few hundred people your way.
Thank
Just
you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I got to pay for this wedding somehow.
man,
Um,
seriously.
but it creates that storyline with social media, and that is the tough part with social media is because I try and be entertaining on it. And I know you guys try and do the same. But then people do think that they know you because of what you post, and you're like, okay, like I'd probably me a little bit more so than you guys, but you are trying to be entertaining. If there's nothing interesting going on in a video, why is anybody going to watch? And that doesn't mean that it's 100% you. Maybe you kind of hammed it up a little bit for the video. Maybe you were actually having a tough day that day, or maybe you had a tough week, but that camera came on and you put a big smile on your face because you're trying to sell that story of, hey, we're having fun out here. This is what can happen if you go out and dance. And so yeah, sometimes people just think they know you a little bit more than you actually do, but you got to
I
sell some
actually,
stuff on.
yeah, and I had to maybe more so me because I am the resident introvert in this relationship.
Hmm.
And
Surprise.
yeah, right. Um, and I did have to kind of get used to people coming up, kind of how you were talking about how you put yourself out there and people become they become fans or they like you and stuff and they like your content and they follow you for years or something like that. Or you, for
And they
whatever
bought
reason,
all your merch. They got the koozie, they got the
Oh
hat.
yeah, heck yeah.
right? Or they've been buying stuff on Amazon and they've been doing all this other stuff. And then, I don't get to necessarily see who specifically buys stuff on Amazon or like all that other stuff. Chris is the one that does a lot of the social media. Like I said, he's the social media department. I will do some things on occasion, so I'm not really as plugged in. It's really funny because sometimes people people will come up and they're like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Oh my God, hi, how are you, Chris? Who is this?" And he'll be like, "Oh, that's Don Hollywood from like or something like that." And like he'll give me their handle and I'll be like, "Oh, okay, I know who that person is."
I pay attention a lot, and
Yeah.
sometimes if I see somebody's commenting a lot or sharing our stuff a lot, I'm like, hey, this is really cool. Don's been sharing a lot of our stuff lately. He's
Yeah.
at, and then I'll just look at quickly your bio. I'm like, great, Don from North Carolina,
Yeah.
that kind of
Oh,
thing. And
I've been sent so many of y'all's videos. People like send me like just like random people. They just send me y'all's videos and it's like, I would love to see you and Emily do this.
Come on, man, why don't you
I'm like,
split?
yeah. I'm like, Chris is also like 6'2", 6'3", and Sarah's 5 foot tall. And we are the same height. I'm not flipping her in the air. I'm sorry.
But no, like,
I mean, if honestly, we could probably teach you how to do that move, believe it or not.
believe it or not.
I'm
We've
sure you could. I'm old. Chris, I forget how old you are, but I'm old. I'll be 33 next year.
I'm older
Oh
Um,
than you are.
man.
okay, well, I'm old and I'm maybe not as fresh as you, so I'm it hurts my back to do that. Thank you though. If anything changes, I'll let you know.
But yeah, it's sometimes it can get challenging too. At least it was for me for a while. Just random people coming up and being like, "Oh my God, you're Sarah. Like I know you don't know me, but like I know you and I've been following you for years and you've literally changed my life with dance and all this other stuff." And I'm just like,
Yeah, we've had some really
you
cool
know,
stories. Like we had one girl come up to us in tears because go ahead.
hang on. Okay. So anyways, they are amazing people. And it's super cool, but like at first it was hard to adjust to.
You
And
just don't
now,
understand why they care so much, like because you don't know what they're going through. You don't look at it from their perspective.
correct,
Exactly.
Because
correct.
there's
And
plenty
so
of actors or just people in y'all's lives that you knew that did inspire you at some point or another, and and you're doing that for other people now.
exactly. I imagine who was the original Superman? But like I imagine like the person who played Superman at the very beginning of all of that, probably had to get used to the idea of little kids idolizing him and like, it's just a completely different feeling, I guess. And now as we've been doing this more and more,
For Reef, by the way.
okay, cool, thank you. Yeah, that's right. Um, it's fine. But like as time has gone on, I feel like I handle those better. Chris has kind of been in situations in his life where he's had fans and
Yeah, the
like
all-star quarterback, we know.
I know, like he's had that opportunity. I still sometimes just see us as these two kids posting fun videos of what we think are funny. Like we do stuff in videos all the time that Chris and I look at each other and we're like, this is the stupidest stuff ever, but we are totally gonna do it.
Yep.
And it just makes us happy. And so I guess by doing that, it makes other people happy and
And
then they find us and it's amazing. And as Chris was saying, there was this beautiful girl who came up to us like practically in tears saying like she had pretty much given up on dance. She had been doing studio for so long, or like not studio, but like individual dance, like tap and stuff like that, that wasn't really partner style. And she was losing a lot of hope in partner dancing and stuff like that. And she's like, you guys revitalized things. I love watching you. I love the way that you dance. And it's amazing. Like it's hard to deal with sometimes, but it's also really amazing at the same
That's
time.
awesome. But that's what
yeah,
keeps you going, like in what you initially start out posting on social media for turns into something probably completely different and more than you ever would have imagined. And it's the coolest feeling in the world when you can't help and inspire somebody else to get out there and try it. Because, dance has given both of us or all four of us so much, so many opportunities.
yep.
So when you can give that to somebody else and give back, it's the best feeling.
And it's growing from more than just like your average dancer. We're at the point now where we're actually inspiring like some like multi-year pros that have given us shout outs.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That have
Awesome.
given us shout outs, which like Jimmy Milligan, the guy that writes Arthur Murray, he gave us a shout out. I was
I've
like,
taken a lesson from Jimmy.
dude, I
Oh,
want to. He seems so
he
cool.
seems like
He
really cool.
knows everything. He's a big golfer, by the way. Loves
Mm.
golf. He just pure knowledge wise, from a knowledge standpoint, picking his brain is unreal. He knows so much.
Yeah, but I mean, it's cool to be able to inspire people like him. Like that's really cool.
Or
Yeah.
at least be influential enough
Yeah.
Yeah.
to pop up on his radar. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's also a thing that's been really neat for us, as we've been learning from some people that I've grown up watching some of their videos, like Lorene and Robert, Gary and Susan, like
Heck, even Dirt Road Dancing. Those guys are amazing. How long? I mean, they've been doing this for like
over 10 years,
over 10
close
years
to 10
now.
years, 8 years,
Okay.
8 years. It's close. I was like, there's
I
something
know
close.
Chris would know the exact number.
Have you met them yet? Have you actually got a chance to meet them?
I'm actually not familiar with him now.
Oh man, you gotta
We'll
look them up.
we'll link you up. We like Troy and Elise.
Sounds good.
But yeah, but being able to see some of those people and be inspired by them. I mean, dirt road dancing is part of it. Steven Spellman, actually, whenever I was first getting into dancing, like I saw some of his old school country swing stuff. I was like, sweet, that was really cool. Then there's one other one that I saw that was like it's in a bar in Colorado. Now that we've been there, the Whiskey Baron, where they're doing all these moves and people are like dancing behind them and stuff. That's what I grew up with, and but now being able to be that person to be taught by them and be inspired by them or us inspiring them is it's a really cool full circle thing for us.
That's
Mm.
awesome. Well, I know you guys are super passionate, so I'm sure the people who have been doing that a really long time, I think y'all's passion probably really rubs off on them and reminds them of why they started doing it in the first place.
I hope so.
Well, with that being said, I think that's probably a good place to stop. We very much appreciate you guys coming on. It's been an absolute joy to catch up with you guys and get to know you guys even a little bit better than I thought I knew you guys.
Well, maybe next time we don't make it so long before we go to get to chat again. Maybe we do like a
We're so
virtual
far.
maybe we do like a virtual whiskey night or something.
As soon as we get through this wedding, we can do whatever you guys want to do.
I understand. I feel that.
All right, well, you guys have a great night, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, thanks, Don.